For nearly a decade, the smartphone industry has sprinted towards 3 nanometer processors and blinding bright displays. Yet the power source keeping these innovations alive has hit a brick wall. Samsung, in particular, has been anchored to a 5,000 mAh ceiling since the Galaxy A9 Pro debuted in 2016. While this conservatism was once framed as a necessary hedge against the ghosts of the past engineering failures, the landscape is shifting. With rivals like Oppo, Xiaomi, OnePlus pushing the envelope, the industry is pivoting towards a fundamental shift in chemistry: the silicon carbon anode. Internal roadmaps suggest that the Samsung Galaxy S27 series will be the designated turning point for this hardware revolution. The transition from traditional lithium ion to silicon carbon represents a tectonic shift in hardware architecture. The secret sauce lies in the anode material itself. Standard batteries rely on graphite, which has reached its physical limit for energy storage. Silicon carbon batteries, however, utilize a fracture resistant, nanostructured silicon carbon composite. The material science is staggering. Silicon can hold up to 10 times as many lithium ions as graphite can. This allows engineers to increase capacity by orders of magnitude without adding a single millimeter to the device's thickness. Since it is physically impossible for Samsung to source enough silicon carbon in the world to fulfill the millions of Galaxy phones they would be selling in future premium flagship Galaxy devices, Samsung's R&D team had to go to the drawing board and essentially reinvent their own version of the silicon carbon anodes that they could source themselves. It creates a fantastic world where they do not have to source materials from a third-party vendor and do not have to worry about price fluctuations and availability shortages. While Chinese OEMs have already begun shifting towards silicon carbon batteries, Samsung remains on the sidelines, a direct consequence of the Galaxy Note 7 debacle. Samsung has adopted a durability-first stance, refusing to mass adopt new chemistry until it clears a rigorous bar and internal standard for long-term stability. Internal test logs reveal that earlier prototypes were failing at approximately 960 charge cycles, only 64% of the way to commercial target of 1,500 charging cycles. Until this threshold was met, Samsung was unwilling to gamble its global reputation on premature launch of this new battery technology. The path to a 2027 deployment has been littered with necessary engineering failures. Internal documents reveal that Samsung's R&D teams have moved through several experimental phases. Following an internal admission by Sung Hoo Moon, the executive vice president and head of smartphone R&D, the company is trailing in battery innovation and internal leadership has recalibrated. Word on the street is that Samsung has finally nailed a prototype silicon carbon 2.0 type of cell that they are aiming to power the Samsung Galaxy S27 Ultra and S27 Pro. The expectation for the Galaxy S27 Ultra and S27 Pro is a high-density battery of at least 7,000 mAh. While this sounds modest compared to other competitors pushing 8,000 and 9,000 mAh cells, it represents a 60% capacity increase over the current standard. Delivering this density within a standard flagship footprint would effectively end the daily charge era and redefine the premium flagship Android market. The Galaxy S27 series will arrive in February 2027. I fully expect only the new battery technology to only be implemented into the Ultra and the Pro models, while the base and the plus model stick to the old lithium-ion battery technology. By clearing the 1500 charging cycle barrier, Samsung is poised to turn the S27 into the most significant mobile power shift in a decade. The era of being safe and boring has run its course. It is finally time for Samsung to embrace the silicon carbon revolution. Let me give you some of my off the dome type of opinions on this matter. I think it is absolutely imperative for Samsung to adopt this new battery technology as soon as possible. Even myself, I find missing because I have my main SIM in my S26 Ultra, but God, do I miss the 2-day battery life on my OnePlus 15, right? The charging is insane, and Samsung can increase the charging. It is safer, and you can charge these faster, these silicon carbon batteries faster. But getting back to the point, it's imperative for them to embrace this new battery technology as soon as possible. I'm happy to see that they are shooting for the S27 to put their new battery tech in these devices, at least the Pro and the Ultra. But I don't want them to stop there. I want Samsung to adopt new camera technology. The sensors that are in this S26 Ultra, only one out of the, well, I guess the front-facing camera sensor is new. It's a new Sony sensor. But on the back, the main shooters, only one out of those 4 are a new sensor. I want Samsung to adopt all new sensors. Look, the days of, this is like the third or fourth year in a row when they launched their Galaxy flagship model. And on the DxO Mark list, it ranks in the 20s when it's launched. When Oppo launches a brand new phone, their Find X9 series or their X8 series last year, it always lands in the top 5 every year they launch a new flagship. It's embarrassing for Samsung to charge essentially $1,300 for a phone, and it does not have the very best specs. In fact, you can get a OnePlus 15 with better specs almost in every single category on the board, and it costs $500 less. You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. Samsung fans have been yearning for a top-notch flagship, especially if they're going to be charging $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 for this phone. We need $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 worth of phone if that's what they're going to be charging, or else. I've seen a lot of people in my comments say they've left Samsung last year. They left Samsung this year for OnePlus, for Oppo, for these Chinese phones. These Chinese phones are blowing away. Not just Samsung, but Apple, even Google, Pixel. So it's time for Samsung to step their game up. And I mentioned this on a last live stream and or last video. If you build it, we will come. It's kind of like that movie, The Field of Dreams. If you build it, we will come. Now, hear me out. This is probably going to see a price increase. Right now, we kind of expect that, right? But as long as it's not going to be like a $500 price increase, if the base model is $1,299, $1,300, let's say for the S26 Ultra, let's say on the S27 Ultra, they give you a silicon carbon battery, they give you UFS. Remember, we're getting 5.0 storage next year, so that's a given. So you're getting new battery tech, you're getting new LPDDR6 RAM with UFS 5.0 storage. So you're getting 2 huge performance bumps there. Now, the last thing that they need to do in my mind is put in new camera sensors, and not just any camera sensors. We need like some of the best camera sensors. That would put the S27 Ultra and or S27 Pro over the hump and literally be atop the entire mobile phone market. If you put brand new sensors, look, just make it in the top 10 when it's released next year and I'll be happy. But no more coming in at number 26 or number 24 or 28, I think it was this year. That's embarrassing. So after we get new battery tech, after we get UFS 5.0 and LPDDR6 RAM, and let's say we get new camera sensors, so how much of a price increase, let's wrap this up, how much of a price increase are we looking at for the S27 Ultra? I don't know what the S27 Pro is going to cost. It's essentially going to be the same thing minus the S Pen. I have heard the few dollars they are saving on the S Pen for not putting it in the Pro. They're going to actually, technically, the Pro should have a little better specs than the Ultra, just minus the S Pen. So I would say base price after the storage, after the battery, and after the camera upgrade, I'm thinking about, if it's 1300 now, I would say basically 14 or 1450 base price. I know that's $100, $150. I think they can get away with 100, meaning base price $12.99. I think they can go to base price $13.99. Or if they do a 1449, essentially 1450, it's $150 more than the previous S26 Ultra. I think they could get away with it, but you're going to see, even if they just bump it up $150 price increase, you're going to start seeing people complaining. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think you're going to see a lot of people complaining about a price increase if you give us all those upgrades. That's what we've been yearning for, Samsung. You have to satisfy the consumer. We've been begging you to put these upgrades in this phone. Now is the time. We're going to get to it later. Apple looks like they are on the precipice, on the cusp of something special with their iPhone. They're going to have a brand new CEO. They just announced it today. A younger CEO. I think he's like 50 years old. He is going to now he's stepping in from the hardware division into the CEO role. So he's going to bring the hardware department is going to take a step up for Apple. So it's not just OnePlus, it's not just Xiaomi, it's not just Oppo or Pixel that Samsung is going to have to compete against. Apple's going to step their game up too here in the next year or two. So Samsung's going to need to bring it, but this is a very, very good first step in the right direction for Samsung, and I very much so look forward to getting the S27 Pro and or S27 Ultra. Please stay tuned. Subscribe to the eSIM Studios YouTube channel for all the latest and greatest Samsung Galaxy news and more. Today's a good day. Let's embrace the good news. Peace.